That month, though, something changed tone. He started arriving later, with rehearsed excuses about meetings that dragged on and hellish traffic. The smile, once easy, now came out forced, as if it hurt the mouth muscles. And the eyes. Ah! His eyes avoided mine as if I were a human lie detector, the kind that flashes red at the first lie. I asked, "Everything okay at work?" He responded with a forehead kiss and a perfect love. But the body doesn't lie. I saw the nails bitten down to raw flesh, the dark circles the concealer no longer hid, the way he paused mid-sentence, staring into space as if the world had gained a blur. The sentence that made me crumble came on a mundane Tuesday, one of those gray days when the sun refuses to appear. We were in the kitchen, me chopping vegetables for dinner. Him leaning on the counter pretending to read his phone. He dropped the device suddenly as if it burned and said with a low but firm voice, "If I told you, you wouldn't handle it." I stopped, knife in mid-air, onion half done. The juice burned my eyes, but not as much as those words. The classic paternalistic underestimation, dressed in a suit of tenderness. Almost poetic, if it weren't a slap in the face disguised as affection. "I wouldn't handle what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. He just shook his head, grabbed a beer from the fridge, and went out to the veranda. I breathed deeply, counting to 10 like in self-help books. Didn't work. The seed of doubt was already planted, and it was growing fast. The following days were a dance of shadows. He didn't notice that I noticed the hands trembling on Sunday mornings, when he held the coffee cup like it was dynamite. The coffee cooled untouched on the breakfast table, while he fiddled with his phone without really seeing anything. The morning showers, once quick, now lasted half an hour. Time enough for a shower, an inner monologue, and perhaps a silent breakdown against the cold tiles. He thought he was fooling me masterfully, that the veil of normality still covered everything. Didn't. I saw the nights he woke up sweating, turned over, and pretended to sleep again. I saw the missed calls on his phone when he left the room to get water. I saw, but I didn't push. "Not yet." Asked, of course. "What's going on? You're acting strange." And came the standardized responses, those empty urgency phrases men use as shields. "Not now, love." "It's nothing, I'm handling it." "Trust me, it'll be fine." Handling what? Why? Until when? Try asking those questions to a man raised believing vulnerability is a manufacturing defect, a glitch fixed with duct tape and silence. They'd rather amputate an arm than admit they're bleeding. I tried to be patient, cooked his favorite dish, massaged his tense shoulders at night. But patience has a limit, and mine was running out like sand in a punctured hourglass. I discovered it by chance, as the biggest truths always arrive. Without fanfare, without dramatic soundtrack. It was an ordinary afternoon, me folding piles of freshly washed clothes in the bedroom drawer. His phone vibrated on the nightstand, a short and impersonal notification. "Results available. Please schedule follow-up appointment." My stomach nodded. Not for the content itself, medical tests happen, but for the context. He'd scheduled an appointment, done tests, and hadn't told me. Not a word. Not even in love, "I'm going to the doctor just to be safe." Nothing. My heart jumped to my throat, my mind opened 10,000 panic tabs. Cancer? Heart problem. Something worse. I breathed slowly, folding the shirt with hands that trembled despite everything, like someone trying not to scare their own intuition. I waited for him to arrive. It was late, almost 9 at night, when the key turned in the door. He entered with that posture of a man carrying the world on his shoulders and still apologizing for letting it slip. The smell of sweat and asphalt invaded the living room. I was in the kitchen, pretending to fiddle with the stove, but my heart was pounding. "You got a message," I said, voice neutral as ice. He stopped at the door, paling instantly, his face losing color like milk diluting coffee. "Camila, I didn't want you to find out like this." "Like this how?" "Like this." Without him controlling the narrative, without a rehearsed script. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again like a fish out of water. Nothing came out. It was there, in that suffocating silence, that I saw with crystal clarity. My husband was terrified. Not nervous, not anxious. Terrified like a child in the dark, convinced that I, the fragile one, would break before him. "We'll talk later," he murmured and went straight to the bathroom. Again. The half-hour shower. When he came out wrapped in a towel, his eyes were red, but he pretended it was just steam, just tiredness. I didn't buy it. That night, lying next to him in the king-size bed that now felt like a deserted island, I reviewed every detail. The way he avoided mirrors lately. The long pauses in traffic staring at the dashboard. The forced laughs at dinners with friends, as if laughing hurt his chest. And I understood something profound that no one had warned me about marriage. You can love someone to the bone and still be locked out of the door to what really matters. It's not absence of love. It's pure cowardice. Fear crusted with protection. In practice, it hurts like slow abandonment, drop by drop. I couldn't take it anymore. I sat up in bed, turning on the dim bedside lamplight, and spoke with the calm of someone who had already decided the fate before pronouncing the words. "If you don't tell me now, I'll assume the worst. And the worst isn't just for you, it's for us." He closed his eyes slowly, breathed deeply like a diver before the dive, grabbed the sheet with white-knuckled tension, as if holding a steering wheel seconds before a head-on collision. "I thought you wouldn't handle it," he repeated, voice hoarse, as if that were shield enough. I leaned in, grabbing his arm firmly. "I can handle the truth no matter how ugly. What I can't handle is being treated like someone incapable, as if I'd explode at the first strong wind. Underestimate me again and I'll show you what it really means to crumble." That's when he broke. He cried for the first time since his father's funeral. Not a discreet alpha male tear, not the glint in the eyes they pretend to ignore. He cried hard, shoulders shaking, face buried in his hands, like a man holding a dam for months and finally giving way. And he told everything in pieces. He was losing his sight. Not in the Hollywood cinematic way, with sudden blackout and orchestrated drama. Slowly, insidious, like a blur invading the edges of the world 1 centimeter a week. The doctor said it's degenerative, progressive. No cure, just treatment. To slow it down. Might stabilize for years. Might worsen soon. I wake up and see spots. I read reports and the letters dance. I drive and pray not to crash. I don't know how much longer I'll function like this. He was trembling all over, voice stumbling on syllables. I curiously wasn't. Not because it was easy to absorb, it was a punch to the gut, but because in that instant an internal turning point happened. Something realigned like rusty gears. It wasn't lack of love. It wasn't a dirty secret of adultery or vice. It wasn't another woman, another apartment, another parallel life. It was raw, animal fear. Fear of being dead weight, fear of chaining me to a defective, fear that I'd look at him and see only problem instead of partner. Fear of not being enough for me. He was convinced that telling me would make me crumble like a house of cards. And maybe I would have years ago, in the phase when I still needed heroes. But not now. Not after building my own armor. I took his face in my hands, thumbs wiping hot tears, steady as an anchor in a storm. "You didn't just take away the truth. You stole my chance to be by your side from the first blur, from the first appointment. You turned me into a spectator of your pain instead of a partner. That hurts more than the whole disease." He completely collapsed. His lean body fell into my lap like a tower holding alone too long, sobs echoing in the dark room. It was the first time I saw my husband small, not physically smaller, but stripped of ego, male theater, rusty armor. Vulnerable like a newborn. And there, in the midst of the chaos of sheets and tears, I understood the lesson that would change everything. I didn't need to be strong for him, saving the day like a superheroine. I needed to be strong with him, side by side, hands dirty in the mud of real life. And here's the part no one wants to swallow on a silver platter. Sometimes the one who most protects you from facts is exactly the one who sees you the least. In my opinion, and I've thought about it 1,000 times, loving someone and deciding alone what that person can or can't handle is the most polite disrespect that exists. You can baptize it care, wrap it in ribbons of tenderness, but deep down it's control with expensive love perfume. It takes away the person's agency, the right to choose how to fall and how to get up. And you there listening, in your place, with a partner treating you like cracked crystal, would you call it genuine affection or sophisticated cowardice? Think carefully, because the line between the two is finer than a hair, and crossing it changes everything. He thought I wouldn't handle his truth, but there was my bomb held for months, a truth I was also hiding to protect him. I waited for the sobs to calm, his chest rising and falling in almost normal rhythm, and dropped mine. While you were trying to spare me your pain, I was trying to spare you mine. He lifted his face slowly, swollen red eyes as if he'd fought the whole world, confusion mixed with exhaustion. What do you mean? What? I breathed deeply, feeling the weight of words I'd swallowed for a year. I was diagnosed with mild depression last year. It started slowly, like your sight. Inexplicable tiredness, sleepless nights counting ceiling cracks, an emptiness that swallows the pleasure of things I loved. I didn't tell you because you came home dead from work, already carrying the world on your shoulders. I thought I'd be one more weight on your scale, another crisis for you to handle. I preferred fake smiles, saying, "It's all good," and swallowing pills hidden in the bathroom. Silence. But not the cutting silence from before, full of blades. A heavy silence, yes, but honest. One where two broken halves of a mistake finally fit halfway. He looked at me as if seeing me for the first time in years. Not the perfect wife but the fallible human, dirty with her own fears. He cried again, but this time it was different. Not terror of the future, but raw, visceral relief. Mutual belonging. For the first time in time immemorial, we were vulnerable together. Without measuring impact, without armors, without pious lies in the name of love. It was ugly, awkward, sweat and tears mixed. But it was beautiful, real, terrifyingly human. The following days were a minefield of relearning. He scheduled an appointment with a specialist ophthalmologist. I returned to the therapy I abandoned for lack of time. We bought thick-lensed glasses he hated but wore. I started meds that left my mouth dry but cleared my mind. It wasn't a fairy tale. There were fights over nonsense. Nights he yelled frustrated at a book he couldn't focus on. Days I crashed into bed at 7 p.m. and woke with the sun already high. But the barriers ended. The silent heroism of "I can handle it alone" ended. The unilateral decisions communicated as divine favors ended. In their place, early truths, told before becoming time bombs. Weakness divided in two like a bad but shared cake, mutual support of calloused hands and minimal, acidic humor that saves rotten days. Laughing because he doesn't see the supermarket sign and I don't see easy ways out for anything, so we guide each other in our lacks, stumbling but advancing. Today, months later, no one here knows the future with certainty. His sight might stabilize for years or worsen tomorrow. My depression might recede with therapy and time, or return like high tide, or neither. But the marriage turned 180 degrees on its axis. I discovered that union isn't about two invincible titans, broad shoulders and eternal smiles. It's about two whole humans, who fail, bleed, hide out of terror, try to guess in the dark. The human scares, disappoints, but also learns, heals, rebuilds. As paradoxical as it sounds, the day he swore I wouldn't handle his truth was the day he finally saw I didn't need to be spared to be loved. He was convinced I'd crumble knowing. But who really crumbled, chest open and soul exposed, hearing my truth, was him. And you. Have you ever been protected like this from a truth that was yours by partner right? And when the veil fell, realized the biggest wound wasn't the secret itself, but the tiny pedestal where they put you in your own story from the one who claimed to love you? Think about it next time someone spares you. Because truth frees but broken trust. That cuts deep.